If you read the coverage in our media when it comes to the extreme right-wing gains in the local elections, you think that this came out of the blue. And this is causing a lot of people a lot of panic when it shouldn't, because this is a natural progression of something that was already happening in the UK. Always remember that the Reform Party has 4.3% of the council seats in the UK. The Green Party has 4.7%. We're thinking like this because we're looking at the Reform Party as a single party and not as the natural consequences of all of the political ventures of Nigel Farage. Reform isn't an unknown, it's the latest iteration of a political force that has been working for years. We've had this in 2013, remember? In that year, UKIP and Nigel Farage venture gained 147 councillors. And then in 2014, it increased it to 163. And in 2015, it increased it to 202. And that was a peak because it was immediately before Brexit. Then between 2016 and 2025, there was a downward trend because the people who elected these UKIP councillors actually got to see them doing their jobs. And they were absolutely useless at it. But that doesn't mean that the people who voted for them in the first place disappeared. People like the idea of racist, xenophobic, anti-immigration parties. They've always have. How do you think that the Tories got elected for 14 years? And think about it for a second. Who are they poaching their votes from? They're taking them away from a Conservative party that was so influenced by Nigel Farage's UKIP that it shifted to the right to the point that it cannot compete with them anymore. They're taking seats from Labour because they're at the left of Labour on some economic policies at this moment. And don't forget that UKIP, the Reform Party, the Brexit Party are a self-fulfilling prophecy because they receive more coverage from all of our news channels than the Liberal Democrats that actually have healthy representations in Parliament, and the Green Party that has always been more relevant than any of the Nigel Farage's ventures. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be concerned with this. But you should be less concerned about what they're doing than the influence that they're having. Because what they're going to do, they've already set out.
If you're a DEI officer, I suggest you look for another job.
Nigel Farage says that he's going to attack DEI. He doesn't even know that DEI doesn't exist in the UK. It's EDI. It's something that is beyond politicians in the UK because it's enshrined in the Equalities Act. He would need to change the law and he won't be able to do this. But he's setting out the justifications of why they're going to be shit at their jobs. They're telling you preemptively that they're not going to do anything right because of the woke. What you should be focusing on is the impact that this is going to have in our government. Because Labour, like the Democrats, is going to stupidly try to shift to the right culturally. Because instead of reversing their calamitous social welfare policies, they're going to try to give them transphobia and xenophobia as a compensation because they think that that's what they want. And they're going to make Farage grow because of that.